But look how beautiful these rock sliders are in raw metal. My honey's chilling out. Hi, honey. Hi. Trying to figure out how to install All right, the finishing touch is on. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Joe, Craving.Outdoors. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for checking us out. In this video, we're going to be installing our Westcott Designs Rock Sliders on our 2025 4Runner TRD Pro. If you're going to do this DIY install, I highly encourage you to watch this video because it is not an easy install, but it's totally doable if you have the right tools and you have the right kind of knowledge on how to get, in theory, a really simple install done. But before we get into all those gory details, two things. First, if you're not, subscribe to our channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It would really help us out. And we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. So please hit that subscribe button. We would really appreciate your support. Second thing, before we get into all those gory details, is if you're new here, here's a little something about us. I'm Joe, and that's my wife Solveig. We are driven with desire to go outdoors and adventure travel. Be it overlanding, backpacking, or national park road trips, it's important for us to have spontaneous options of where to stay, to eat well, to unwind after a fantastic day, to be clean and hygienic. We found over the years it's those things that can make or break a great time. So stick around and follow along to see how we meet those challenges while on an adventure to satisfy our craving outdoors. So thanks for still being here. That was a little bit about us and our channel and what we're all about. We really hope you subscribe. Okay, let's get on with it. Why Westcott Design Rock Sliders? I looked at a lot of different kinds of rock sliders. Different companies are starting to come out with rock sliders. And there's also the stock Toyota rock sliders that you can get from the dealer. I can get those in a day. They're only $400 each. They bolt right on. But why did I decide on a Westcott Design? The thing that really kind of turned it for me was his passion for building quality stuff. He really pays attention to all the little details and he really wants to have top quality stuff. And I just really appreciate that. And he seems like a nice guy. I put my order in on June 20th, 2025. I was promised a 2 to 5 week lead time. When I called, the guy had told me it's going to be a 5-week lead time. He doesn't think they're going to be any time sooner. So that was nice and honest. They arrived August 8th. Let's see, actually one arrived on August 7th. The other one arrived on August 8th. They came in 2 different packages. So I don't know how long that is, probably about 6 weeks or so, 6 or 7 weeks. Now, what did I order? Because they give you a lot of different options when you're ordering the rock sliders. So I ordered raw versus powder coated. And the reason I ordered raw was because I have experience painting the bumper and rock sliders for our 5th gen. And I wanted to use that same process on the Westcott rock sliders instead of having them powder coated because that process worked fantastic and it has lasted years. I've heard of horror stories of powder coating process. Some can be really bad. And I know that my process works. And so I just decided to order them raw, save a little bit of money, save a little bit on the lead time because it doesn't take as much time to get them. But most importantly, it's a process I trust and I know works. And I'm going to show you that process in detail. There's a type of metal you can order, which one starts with a D, one starts with an H. I ordered the one starting with a D because it was a little less expensive, and I'm pretty sure I'm never going to notice the difference in the 2 different metals. But I ordered MIG welding because it lessened my lead time by like 2 weeks. The other option was angled. So you can have them 0-degree angle or 20-degree angled up on each side. And I opted for the flat angle because our 5th gen has flat and we really are just used to that. I don't know that there's really a big difference. The flat also provides a good step for my wife, and that's like her most important thing. And then, let's see, I ordered it with the top. Okay, so we didn't want just raw bars. We need the top to be able to step on it and to do other, and just to put things on it when we're sitting on the side. You can put your soda on it, you know, whatever. It's nice to have that as a flat surface. I also ordered it with the kick out, okay, because you can order it flat or with the kick out. And for me, the kick out is important because if you're, you know, in a really tight area, what I experienced in our 4Runner is that the kick out will hit like a tree bed or a rock, and it'll help push your car out from that. And it saves the car quite a bit. We've actually used the kick out quite a bit. So on the 5th gen. So I really wanted to make sure that I had that for our 6th gen, and I'm glad that they had that option. And I think that's all the options we ordered. 4Runner 6th gen with kick out, raw, 0-degree, order number 9658. Comes with hardware. This is the driver's side. Okay, so rock sliders are important for a lot of different reasons. Okay, they're important because, you know, obviously they provide protection against, you know, when you high center, you bottom the car out, it'll hit up against the rock slider versus hitting up against the car itself and denting the door or something like that. So that's really important. But also equally important is the rock sliders can be used as a lifting point to lift the car up. And we've done that multiple times where we've lifted the car up because, you know, one of the tires got stuck or whatever, and that was the only place we could lift it. Anyways, it's a great lifting point. And most importantly, for my wife, for Solveig, it's a step to get into the rig because this rig's stock is 2.5 inch lifted, and it feels higher than our 3-inch lifted 4Runner 5th gen on a king suspension. So it's really important to get proper rock sliders that can lift the car, that can protect the car, and that can be a proper step and that aren't going to break, and that you could actually bottom out on a rock on the rock sliders, and the car can just slide and maneuver on the rock sliders. It's very important to be able to do. Okay, so the installation process first is unpacking. Obviously, it comes in 2 big boxes, and they come packed great. They come raw. They were so beautiful when they came raw, and I was just like, I hated to paint them because they were so beautiful, but I painted them, of course. And the painting process I'm going to show you, and then the installation process. The installation process, in theory, is really simple, but it's really difficult. So the threaded holes are really simple. There's thread or Rivnuts that have to be installed on the bottom, but I didn't have a Rivnut tool, and so I had to do it manually. So I'll show you that process. And then the bolts and nuts or the fasteners that go into the big square holes in the frame and a big round hole. Again, a totally DIY process. It can be done at home. You just need the right tools. You need to watch this video a couple of times, actually. Just really understand how the process works, and then just elbow grease. It's hard labor getting this job done. I did it successfully without breaking any fingers. I did scratch up some knuckles, and I did draw blood, but everything in the end is okay, and it was really satisfying. And it's very rewarding doing jobs like this and succeeding and not stopping. Okay, let's get on to the details. Check it out. This is how it comes packed. Looks like there's my hardware right there, installation hardware. They look gorgeous. All right, let's get this. There's our installation hardware. 6th gen slider threaded. What is this? This is something different here. Oh, the Westcott designed like plates. This is the hardware that came with it. It was a mirror image, so I'm assuming that this is for one side here, this is for the other side. I left this side intact so that I knew how it came originally, because I took these out because I wanted to start looking at the bolts. So this is how it comes. You get this one bolt here, which is this one, and it looks like a nutsert. And so luckily I have one of these tools, but I'm just curious on how they want me to put that in. So these 3 bolts here are here, and they came here. This is this. That's right here, and then right here, this section was these 2 bolts and things, like a washer, a nut. It's a Nylock, and then this interesting bolt here, which I'm assuming goes into the frame and then it just locks in like that. And then this one here is this thread cert. These are all grade 10 bolts, that's good. So that's the hardware, it's per side. A very cool design here. So this is very cool branding, badging here. This is the underplate. Then this has see-through, goes on top of the underplate so that it can show through like that. And then this is the hardware to install those on the rock sliders. So this is the bumper on our 5th gen 4Runner that I installed at least 3 years ago. And it came raw, and the paint is held up really good. Now, of course, it needs little touch-ups every once in a while when it rubs off, but that's okay. You can just go ahead and do that touch-up. It's really tough and durable, and it looks great. And the rock sliders was done the same way. You can hear that they take some damage, and then you just spritz it and get a little touch-up to it. So here's the system. Rust-Oleum truck bed coating. Before you paint it, I'm going to prime it with automotive primer, and it's a self-etching primer. Time to paint. It's like my bartender days mixing martinis. Okay, I think we're good. So it's been a couple of hours. It's looking really good. I'm gonna start painting now. So within 1 hour, I've got to put a second coat on. I'm not sure how good you're gonna be able to see this, but oh man, it looks fantastic. Check it out. Of course, I've got to do a little bit of touch up, but God, it looks great. Just nice and smooth, but it has this little rough textured finish to it. See, there's little touch-up needed there when I put the second coat on, but it's got a nice rough finish on it. Okay, so here's the process for getting this on the TRD Pro. Step one is going to be threaded, and threaded. You're going to get them up there, and before you do anything, you're just going to get it up there, you're going to fit your bolts in, and you're going to get them threaded on. After that, you're going to get bolt here, here, and here. The bolts that hold these on require the Rivnuts. Okay, and here are the Rivnuts here, and you've got to install those. So, I don't have a Rivnut tool, but it's pretty simple. I watched a video on how to install them, and it looks really easy to do. So, I'm going to go ahead and get these installed. I'm going to have to open one of the holes up with a step drill bit right there. And I'm just going to show you how that happens. This hole right here needs this Rivnut. It's the smaller one that they provide. That's going to fit right there, like that. Okay. This one here is the bigger one. That's going to go right in this square hole, but the square hole, it doesn't fit, so we're going to have to make it bigger. And I'm going to use a step drill bit to do that. See, it fits right here in this hole. So I'm going to just make my hole this size here, right down there. We'll get the Rivnuts installed, and then I'm going to go ahead and get everything bolted up. We'll start with all the threaded bolts, and then we'll put these ones on. But once we get these two on, this one and these two here, that'll be 5, and torque down, it's going to be good to go. I'm going to use this step drill bit right here. I'm going to measure how big of a hole I want. So right there is the hole size I want. Yeah. That's the hole that I have to open up to get this Rivnut to fit. And we're going to go ahead and get that process started now. There we go. And now it fits. There's some exposed metal, so you want to make sure that you cover that up. So I've got some of the paint. We got to install some Rivnuts. Okay, I'm going to explain how this works. So we have an M12 bolt, a nut on the bolt, and then 2 washers on here. And then this is going to thread on until I get it fully threaded on. So it's going to have to come down a little bit more. Right there. You see that? Fully threaded on. I'm going to insert this in, and then I'm going to put the jack up under it and lift the car so that the jack holds this in. And then what I'll do is I'll turn this nut so that it pulls this back and locks it in. Okay? So that's going to be the process. So let me just show you how that works. This goes in here like so. You have to make sure that you get a nut or a bolt, because the bolts that come with it are not long enough, so they won't thread all the way up. But you got to make sure that you get an M12, and you need an M12 bolt and a nut. These are the washers that came with it, so that it comes all the way through, so you get the full threading to pull it down. Okay? So I'm going to tighten that up right there. I'm going to line up the bolts so that I can get the wrench on. This wrench is now broken. Cheap Harbor Freight junk. Okay. Wow. Hold on, I gotta fix this freaking wrench. Okay. That's gonna go on here. This is going to... There we go, that's not in there. Nice now. Put this tool on here. Now I'm gonna put some gloves on. Just need more leverage on this. Takes a lot. Ah, damn it, huh? Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna be back in 15 minutes, okay?
All right, Jack. All right, I think I got it. Okay, it's tight now. It is super tight now. You can see almost the car lifted. Now hopefully this will come out. And our thread sort is out. See that? Oh, all right. One more to go. So there's the plastic covers there, and then the round one right there. We'll take those off. There we go. That one's off. All right. We're gonna get our threaded bolts bolted. And it's gonna be this one here. And then these two here. Here we go. Here and there. That one's threaded on. Yeah, that one should thread on now. Okay, we got them all threaded on now. Whew, all right. Yeah, there we go. All right, I'll be back with the other ones. All right, so these are the ones going on now. These are the ones that go in. It'll be like that. So I kind of preloaded the bolts with about 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch on there. You can still do that, fit them in, and then you use a 5mm Allen that goes in the end with a ratcheting box end here and tighten them down. So we'll get on that now. So with the preload on there, I'm just going to go ahead and feed this in. There we go. And just let it hang on its own, and it'll hang downwards. So here it is. Okay, and the way you got to do it, you got to get your wrench oriented in the right direction. And you've got to get down here, and you've got to put this wrench on first. Okay. And then this has got to go on. I don't know if you can see that. This has got to go on. And then you can start tightening it down. There we go. Okay, that one's tight. Of course, this thing is freaking stuck now. There we go. 2 more to go. Okay, it's done, finally. All right, so let me show you the final install. We've got our Westcott design thing on there. It looks fantastic. Gonna have to do a little bit of touch up, but I'm gonna get down here and show you what happened here. So we've got 1 threaded bolt right there, and then 2 threaded bolts here and here, and then we've also got our bottom bolts that are in the Rivnuts that we installed earlier, and these are all torqued down. I used 80 foot-pounds to torque these down. I don't know if that's right. I never heard back from Westcott Designs, but I figured 80. I looked online. You hear 50 to 80 foot-pounds, so I just did 80 foot-pounds. These ones are all in. They can't be torqued down, except I did use a hammer, an impact, to torque them down as much as I could. So those are torqued down pretty good. And that's the install per side. It's the same on both sides. The Rivnuts on the bottom, the threaded bolts here and there, and here, right there, and then these 3 here. And that's, in theory, all you have to do, and then they're installed. And what I did was I lifted it, and I lifted the car with my little lift table so that it's in position to lift, and then I tightened the bolts down. So the process is you get the threaded ones on, these on, and this threaded one on loose until they're all threaded by hand. You lift this up until you're lifting the car, then you tighten them all down, and then you put these ones on. And of course I need to do some touch-up paint, but they're on and they're looking good. So here you go. They look good. The other side is also on.